Hi guys, welcome to Office Blokes React. I'm Office Bloke Dave.
I'm Office Bloke Mike.
I'm Dave's mop.
Fair enough.
Elusive mop.
Arrived.
Fair enough. I only ordered it yesterday. It's not elusive.
Pretty good, that.
Say no. Yeah, we are the Office Blokes, and you may notice a shiny little object there. It's out of quarantine because by the time this comes out, the strike should be gone.
Maybe.
Yeah, what we
Hopefully. I should get another one.
Well, what, another strike or another plaque?
Another strike, yeah.
Both very likely.
You never know.
Speaking of that plaque, though, a lot of you watching us are not subscribed. So one day we'd love to swap that out for a gold one. So if you're not subscribed and you do enjoy our content, pop down there, give us a little sub.
Wishful thinking.
Wishful thinking. I'm an optimist. Don't get anywhere.
So you mean you sell glasses?
Yep, yep. Right, are electric cars really better for the environment?
I won't have one at the moment.
No, me neither, I don't think. I know where probably this is going. It's probably the manufacturing process and the raw materials they have to make.
Where does the electricity come from?
To make it, it's got to come from somewhere, isn't it? Yeah. So, yeah, interesting one.
I've seen one of the bus depots not far from here, about a month, maybe 2 months ago, charging one of the electric buses with a generator, petrol generator.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Oh dear me. That's what it all falls down, isn't it?
And I bet they were still touted as a zero emissions bus.
Oh, you've got plastic all over them, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Unbelievable.
I'm for electric. I want to have fun with combustion engines. I don't think they should ever be outlawed. I think we should have the option.
While it lasts.
Yeah. But I think electric is going to be the future, and everything's automatic. It's just a go pedal and a brake, and
Yep.
There's no gears to worry about. And apparently,
no sound neither. It's like
yeah, no,
it's like a milk float.
I mean, I've been in taxis like that before. It's really sort of nerving, really. You know, it's just sort of like a silent glide, isn't it? It's just doesn't seem right.
I'm for it as long as it doesn't become the only option. I think you should be allowed to have a petrol or a diesel car still.
I mean, whatever floats your boat is what I say. If you want to drive an electric car, go for it. Don't ram it down my throat, though. I should drive an electric car.
Yeah.
Because I'll run you over.
Yeah.
In my petrol car.
Yeah. Don't become the vegans of the motoring industry.
Exactly.
Yeah. Just walk up next to you on a urinal and whisper in your ear, I've got an electric car.
The problem is, at some stage, it's going to go that way because oil ain't going to last forever.
You need oil to manufacture electric cars.
Well, at the moment you do. I mean, whether they can do it like through nuclear power, I don't know.
No, but to make the tyres, to make the any plastics that are used in it, and to lubricate the engines and stuff, there's always going to be an element of oil needed.
Yeah.
Let's get into something and have a look.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, let's do it. Are electric cars really better for the environment? Let's do it.
Every time we do a video on electric cars, the same debate shows up in my comments. Some people argue that electric vehicles are worse for the environment than internal combustion engines. Others say that EVs are not even close to as bad as internal combustion. I don't know. So I set out to find out once and for all, are electric vehicles worse for the environment? What I found genuinely surprised me.
I like the editing on this. Yeah. It's a bit different to some of the other stuff we've watched,
I like his production there.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, good.
I like it.
There's a couple of those Porsches near here, isn't there?
Two of them next door. Guys got both of them.
Well, nice.
Yeah, they are.
Are they fully electric or are they hybrid?
I think he's electric because I've never heard him drive off.
No, I haven't thinking about it.
No. Heard you drive off.
You can hear me drive off. I want him to get off. I want him to drive off at the same time, but he tends to leave him here overnight.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know if they're on charge.
Probably charged.
He has put charges in.
Big thanks to Keeps for sponsoring this episode of Wheelhouse. Okay, I've got a good hair. More 5 prevent hair loss. Go to keeps.com/wheelhouse50 or click the link in the description below and receive 50% PS for sporting vehicles versus gas-powered ones. And look, I'm going to try to be as impartial and unbiased as possible because I am a car boy. I love gas cars and I love electric cars and I have no agenda to push. I just want to know what's true and what's false, okay? This could have easily been an hour-long video because honestly, this is a lot more complicated than I initially thought. But I know you're busy and you ain't got time for that, so we're just going to look at some facts for both types of vehicles and try to draw a conclusion from that. First, let's take a look at some ways electric cars are bad for the environment. And let me tell you, there's a few. One of the biggest arguments against electric vehicles is that battery production for an EV is much more detrimental to the environment than the production of internal combustion vehicles. So, is that true? Yes. The initial environmental footprint from current electric vehicle production is greater than production of internal combustion engines. The large batteries EVs use are made with lithium, which, like any raw material, needs to be mined, and the mining process produces lots of greenhouse gases. It's a problem that's only going to grow unless the manufacturing process becomes more efficient.
Which countries are the big lithium miners?
I was just going to say that. I hope it's not Russia.
I don't know.
It's. I have heard people talk about it recently. It's quite poor countries, isn't it?
I don't know. I've not heard.
Yeah, me neither.
Some commodity I never got involved in.
Is Mongolia one of them?
Could be.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It's countries like that, you know, that are quite.
Finished, I'm going to Google it because it's one thing I didn't know.
Yeah, same here.
I didn't know who the big miners was of that.
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments. Although I'll Google it before then anyway, but let us know if you know.
Yeah.
Don't Google it, have a guess.
Yeah, guess. Put it in the comment section, get that algorithm bumping.
Could be Lithuania.
Lithuania.
Sales of EVs topped 1 million per year for the first time in 2017. Some estimates predict that by the year 2030, there will be more than 125 million EVs on the road, and those vehicles are going to need batteries. Needless to say, lithium is in high demand, and it all has to come from somewhere. It takes on average about 8 to 10 metric tons of CO2 to produce an electric vehicle. That's a lot. Obviously, the bigger the battery, the more CO2 it takes to produce it. Some smaller batteries in economy-size EVs may take as few as 2 metric tons to produce, but larger EVs with long-range batteries could be responsible for up to 17 metric tons of CO2 emissions. Good lord. Conversely, the average production for an internal combustion vehicle produces around 7 metric tons of CO2. Why does EV production lead to a bigger environmental footprint? More than half of the world's lithium supply comes from the, quote, lithium triangle, an area between Chile, Bolivia, and Argentina.
I was completely wrong.
Yeah, didn't know that.
Wow.
So lithium comes in like a white powder form from Colombia. Bolivia, sorry.
That's what they're calling it these days, is it?
Arid salt plains of the Atacama Desert high up in the Andes Mountains, workers drill through the crust of the salt to get to the mineral-rich brine below the surface. This process leaches massive amounts of groundwater from the surrounding area, resulting in a decreased water supply and less accessible water for local agriculture. In a region of Chile called Salar de Atacama, mining companies have used 65% of the region's water. It takes 750 tons of brine to produce just 1 ton of lithium. But lithium is just one of the components of a battery. It's actually a smaller percentage than you might think too, at around 6%. A growing concern surrounds the sourcing of another element used in batteries, cobalt. But the issue is more of an ethical dilemma, as some cobalt mines use child labor, which is reprehensible. And then there's the problem of recycling these things. The process in which lithium-ion batteries are recycled is not at the point it needs to be to deal with the growing number of spent batteries from electric vehicles. There are plenty of different challenges associated with recycling these batteries. Relatively inane things like storage becomes a huge issue because of the volatility of elements in a lithium battery. There have already been a number of fires in facilities that process.
That would have been a Samsung Galaxy S8, wasn't
Was it?
Oh, they were the ones that were exploding.
I've edit that bit out as well.
I watched I think it might have been on the Grand Tour, actually, where an electric vehicle had combusted, and it was the fire crews talking about how to put them out, and you can't do it with water. So they've come up with these kind of like, it's almost like a shipping container that gets dumped on top of the car that starves the oxygen. But then when you lift it up again, it just ignites
Starts
again.
up again. Wow.
And it's going to be a huge problem. Once they get going, they're almost impossible to put out.
Wow.
Ban them, I say.
Go for petrol.
We like me and my bro and my dad debate the battery thing over too many beers quite a lot of the time. It ends up being an argument because none of us know what we're talking about, but we'll all fight to the death over whatever it is we're talking about.
It's motoring. You just have to have that sound of a motor actually driving something. The growl and that's what motoring's about.
Of course it is.
For a lot of people, for people that like cars, but the vast majority of people just use it as a vehicle to get from A to B. and they can have a little Nissan Leaf or whatever and just do what they've got to do.
I'm sure I can have both over the years, one run alongside each other, if people aren't bothered about the sound of a car or anything like that, then get an electric car. But at some stage, natural resources, even lithium, even that's going to run out, isn't it? That's a natural resource, so...
I don't know how much of it there is around the world.
There might be a lot, but ultimately it's not going to last forever, I suppose. Yeah, of course.
Too many people, not enough resources.
They need to run on water. That's what they need to do.
That's hydrogen, isn't it?
Yeah. I know that's something that I think is being worked on, apparently. But I don't know. Ultimately, I think they need to look at something.
I think ultimately they need to charge as they go, and then batteries become obsolete, or batteries become smaller, and the batteries are like the diversion thing.
Yeah.
So wireless charging on the roads. The infrastructure would be insane for something like that, though.
And then environmental impacts of doing something like that as well.
I'll just make public transport more accessible all over the world, and then do away with cars.
No, not having that.
Old batteries. Is the number of potentially catastrophic fires and explosions going to go up as more batteries are stockpiled in the future? It all depends on how quickly the industry evolves to deal with these issues. The fact of the matter is, modern electric vehicle production is in its relative infancy compared to gas engines, so as time goes on and new processes come into play, the environmental impact will get better, I hope. The same can be said about where electric vehicles get their electricity. Right now, many regions of the US are still getting their power from coal power plants, so the impact of driving a zero-emissions car in those regions is more detrimental to the environment than driving an EV in places with clean energy, such as wind, solar, and hydroelectric power plants. But as those types of energy become more common, the efficiency at which an EV operates will only get better. So now that we know the very real problems of electric vehicle production, how do they compare to the internal combustion engine? Let's start where we did with electric vehicles: production. Manufacturing the average internal combustion vehicle produces 7 metric tons of CO2. This number takes into account everything from the mining ore for steel to the moment the car rolls off the production line. That number is lower than EVs because of the absence of lithium-ion batteries. It also has to do with how efficient ICE manufacturing has become. We're talking about the industry that is responsible for inventing the assembly line. After the car rolls out of the factory, greenhouse emissions from gasoline-powered cars average around 5.2 metric tons per year. And that's if the car drives the national average of about 11,800 miles per year. Over the lifespan of a car, it's responsible for 57 metric tons of CO2. That's 7 for production and 50 in emissions. Gasoline, like lithium,
so the lifespan of a car is less than 5 years. You said like 11 tons a year, didn't you? Or did I mishear that?
You're probably saying the average. Before people renew them or whatever.
I thought it said 5 tons a year.
Was it 5 tons a year?
Like,
so then the lifespan would be 10.
About 10, wouldn't it?
11,800 miles a year.
Yeah.
That's the average mileage of a car.
Yeah, there you go, 5.2 metric. Yeah, you're right. So the average lifespan is going to be assumed to be like 10 years for a vehicle.
Yeah,
it makes a bit more sense.
But it's a bit more realistic, I suppose.
Yeah.
Per year. And that's if the car drives the national average of about 11,800 miles per year. Over the lifespan of a car, it's responsible for 57 metric tons of CO2. That's 7 for production and 50 in emissions. Gasoline, like lithium, has to be mined. The average car in the US goes through about 500 gallons of gas per year, and that gas, like the lithium in the batteries, has to come from somewhere. There's a lot of steps between the extraction of crude oil to you filling your car at the gas station, and each step has an environmental impact. Crude oil extraction starts with drilling into the earth, either on land or on the ocean floor. After the crude oil is mined, it needs to be refined into gasoline and other petroleum products such as jet fuel, petroleum jelly, and plastic. This process releases tons of greenhouse gases, including not only CO2, but methane and nitrous oxide as well. Every day around the world, close to 95 million barrels of oil are produced, and every day oil refinement is responsible for emitting 767 million tons of CO2 into the atmosphere. Sure, the average car is responsible for 5.2 tons of CO2 every year, but oil refineries release a whopping 280 billion metric tons of CO2 in that same time frame. Fucking Chargers driving by, dude. All right, let's dial it back and get some more manageable numbers, okay? I'm sorry.
as if just to make a cameo. A nice beefy engine going past him. I don't know. It's a crazy one, this, and I don't think there is an answer.
I don't think there is at the moment. I don't
Pedal power.
Pedal power, yeah.
Well, if people working from home or coming off the back of COVID,
I think over the years, with wind power, wind turbines, solar energy, from the sea and everything, that'll probably sort of ease it a little bit, won't it? If they're getting more, rather than burning coal all the time. But I mean, they're coming up with things all the time, aren't they? So you just hope in the next 20, 30 years there'll be something else, something new that'll be less of an impact. But
Tesla have got solar roof tiles for your house, and they're kind of like a glass, and they're you can get them in sort of different colours, but they're 3 times stronger than your average roof tile.
Right.
So I've seen videos of them being like things blasted at them, and they just take it. But if you do your whole roof, it's the equivalent financially of getting your whole roof done in slate. So financially, it's not that different. And your whole roof is a solar panel.
When you said roof then, I thought you meant roof on the car.
No,
for
your house.
Car. I wonder if they could do that and that'd charge a battery. They must have thought of it. So.
I've heard that talked about. It'd be a drop in the ocean for what you actually need.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
But if your whole roof, and then you've got like the battery storage systems, and you go home and you plug in your car that's getting charged from your roof tiles that have been charging all day in the sun.
Mind you, if you had a solar power car in Manchester, you get about 300 yards, wouldn't you? I suppose.
Yeah. I don't know where I plug mine in. I have one of them big orange extension cables coming down the side of the building.
It makes sense that people make use of empty space, though. Like, why can't roofs have solar panels on?
Yeah, true. Could do.
I want to do it eventually. I want solar panels on my roof, but it's not my priority at the moment.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely.
Know that over the average lifespan of a car with an internal combustion engine, it will emit roughly 57 metric tons of CO2. Over the same time period, the average EV is responsible for 28 metric tons of emissions, less than half of that of an ICE engine. Despite the fact that electric vehicles make more CO2 during their production, they more than make up for it by not having any emissions during use. Taking into account the emissions produced by electric power plants that electric vehicles source their power from, the national average for an EV is around 2 metric tons per year. So that means the average EV will become more efficient than a gas-powered car between 6 months to 2 years of driving it. In fact, even the least efficient electric vehicle with the dirtiest power source, like a coal power plant, will be better for the environment than the most efficient gas engine after a certain period of time. Electric vehicles in states with access to cleaner electricity like windmills, solar, and hydroelectric power plants are significantly more efficient. Look, I cross-referenced everything in this video and have no agenda to push. I just wanted to put that out there because, it's kind of tiring seeing the same bogus facts being regurgitated in the comments every time we make a video on EVs. Let's take a look at a few more myths. Myth number 1, electric vehicle production and charging from coal-powered plants produces more emissions than gas car production and operation. False. If you need a little more convincing, here's an amazing app that can calculate and compare the emissions of any gas car versus any electric car, and in the long run, any EV beats any gas car in efficiency. I'll put the link right here and in the description if you want to check it out for yourself. Myth number 2, our electric grid can't handle the onslaught of EVs. This one is also false. Even if a quarter of the cars on the road were electric tomorrow, the electric grids in the US could handle all of them without a disruption. Myth number 3, government subsidies for electric cars are unfair to poor people. They only benefit the rich. Now, this is a pretty prescient insight, okay? It's true that if you buy an electric car, you can get a federal rebate of up to $7,500. That benefits everyone. But if you're rich enough to buy an expensive luxury EV like a Tesla Model X, you'll actually only receive about half of that amount. Yeah, kind of surprising, huh? Look, man, I love my gas-powered Mustang. I'm gonna own a gas-powered car for the rest of my life. Nothing matches the sound of a V8 turning gas into noise. I'm gonna get that tattooed on me someday. But I still have to acknowledge the truth. No matter how you spin it, electric vehicles have less of an environmental impact than gas-powered cars. I'm not gonna say you're a bad person if you don't like EVs, because you're not. I just wanna put the facts on the table. If this video helped you learn, I'm very happy for that, and I welcome you aboard. There doesn't need to be any sort of separation. Hey, if you like this video, hit that subscribe button down there. Hit the bell too so you never miss another donut video. We're uploading every day now, which is
I like the channel.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's good, him. I like him.
Yeah,
really,
good
really
presenter.
insightful.
One thing you didn't touch on though is end of life.
Yeah, recycling and things like that.
He
Yeah,
did with the
definitely.
batteries a little bit. He said there is no sort of plan.
No plan.
They're
That's
just
what I mean. So you
stockpiled
can't
at the
really, so you
moment.
can't compare at the moment. Then,
Yeah.
You know, until these, you start seeing these cars that are coming through the electric vehicles with an end of life, and what you're doing with all these lithium batteries that are defunct.
Yeah.
You know, would you put them in landfill? Do you break them down? How does it work?
One of the things I heard
Refurb.
was
Yeah, of course, yeah.
one of the ideas I heard was that they'd be under wind turbines, because although they're not efficient as a car battery, so you know you may go from a 200-mile range down to a 70-mile range, it's still viable as a battery. So they could stockpile them under the turbines where they just charge the batteries all day, and then there's always a supply in the batteries that can be fed into the grid or whatever else. But I don't know.
But the cost of doing that's going to be, or
Enormous.
the everything that goes with that, the cost, not just the cost, but the infrastructure to put that together.
It might not be a viable option either. It's just something I heard people discussing once.
I think there'd be more infrastructure that's going to have to be built as well, because he did allude to if a quarter of the cars in America all of a sudden were electric cars, then the power supply, the national grid could cope with it. Well, what if half of them were, or 3/4? Could it cope then? If not in the future, then they're going to have to do something. They're going to have to upgrade the grid as well, aren't they?
What if
More
it
power
snows?
stations, and then it's more CO2 emissions with more power stations. And
What if it snows and the power grid's out, like happened in Texas last year?
Yeah, I'd love
possible.
that. I'm waiting for that, to happen here. On the motorway, massive traffic jam, and that electric car's just sat there, ran out of charge. Me go past and go, right.
you don't have to say anything. Just go, turn around, smile.
Yeah, then I'll be out of petrol over.
You put your foot down.
Rev it all the time.
I'm seeing that already. It was like tick, tick, tick. I'm like, Jesus. Spend more time at the petrol station.
What does yours do to the gallon, do you think?
14 at the moment.
Is it?
I don't even know if that's good or bad.
Not bad considering, I think.
I don't know if it's good or bad. I don't know. I don't know what a good mark would be. I just wait when it goes down to empty. I fill it back up again.
I was looking at things like a 520D at one point. A 520D is doing about 50 to the gallon.
Right.
My car does 50 to the gallon, but obviously it's not a very desirable car to compare it to.
Getting you really are more efficient. You do that to get really good MPG these days, don't you?
You can get a
Newer
couple of
models.
diesel engines that are like estate cars that are doing 80 to the gallon now.
Yeah, I bet you can, yeah.
I'll get a reading on mine and let you know.
Yeah,
The
interested
button
to
I
see
can press
that.
and gives you a reading
Yeah.
of what it is. But I think I just keep seeing 14 on there, so I don't know if that's what I'm getting to the gallon or that's like the average or whatever.
Right, okay.
I don't know.
There should be a gauge for happy points though as well. And it's like, although that one's going like that, the happy gauge is going
I'm throwing
right
it around and leathering
Yeah,
it.
usually like that, but look at you smiling when you do it.
Precisely. It's not all about just penny
Yin and yang.
pinching and looking at it.
I'm asked about that. Straight in, fill it up, straight out again, down the road, straight to the next petrol station.
Obviously at the speed limit though, not over.
Of course.
Fucking can't go over the speed limit. I always get some dick in a micro in front of me.
Or a push bike.
Yeah. I'm like, God.
Oh, I've got a little shitty 1.6 diesel, haven't I? And I still managed to get pulled over yesterday for breaking the speed. Allegedly breaking the speed limit.
Allegedly.
I don't mind. The police won't catch me
Don't
anyway.
admit it.
There's no way the police will catch me in that.
Hey, I wouldn't have thought so, no.
They won't catch you, but they'd see your number plate and they'd be waiting at your house for you.
It's got your name on it now.
Good luck getting in there as well.
Fair enough. I'll take the hit for you. I'll pull behind you and I'll start speeding.
Anyway, yeah, good that.
Yeah, good
nice
video.
channel. Get over there, like and
Yeah.
subscribe. Like and subscribe as well. Don't forget, hit the bell, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Cheers, guys.